Welcome back to the continuation of the IPB series by Doctrine Digest. This episode of IPB focuses on Step 3, Evaluate the Threat. The doctrinal proponent for IPB Step 3 is ATP 2-01.3, Chapter 5. Step 3 transitions from primarily terrain and friendly focused analysis towards directing the main analytical effort on threat forces within an operational environment. Although Step 2 of IPB identifies the current temp, Step 3 determines the threat force capabilities and the doctrinal principles or techniques and procedures that a threat prefers to employ. Step 3 is conducted in 3 substeps. Substep 1, identify threat characteristics. What are the compositions, the task organization charts and order of battle analysis, and disposition of forces with focus on strength, combat effectiveness, doctrine, tactics, capabilities, and limitations of your identified threat. Substep 2, create or refine threat models. A threat model is a display of how a threat conducts operations, or their doctrine and tactics, and is adjusted to the current situation with analysis broken down 2 levels from your headquarters, or, for example, if you're a battalion headquarters, analysis should be down to the platoon level with exception of teams or squads of a unique threat capability. The intelligence staff converts threat doctrine into patterns or graphics to create an order of battle threat template, also referred to as a doc temp, broken by zone across the AO with supporting description of the tactics and current operations and available assets within zone, and they identify high-value targets. Reference Table 5-1 for an example of developing an HVT matrix breaking out threat elements along warfighting function to enable the targeting process and co-development of MDMP. Substep 3, identify threat capabilities. A threat capability statement identifies a threat's options and supporting options that can be applied in the AO. This subset seeks to identify means of which a threat intends to accomplish its goals, attack friendly vulnerabilities, or degrade or neutralize our strengths. The S2 should identify unique items present in the AO, tactics observed, options remaining to the threat commander, or any type of particularly new information or unique activities conducted by the threat based off their current strength or vulnerabilities that can be exploited by the threat force. Does the threat have a Class 3 shortage? Have units culminated prior to meeting their objectives in the current phase of operations? Or are required assets for further operations degraded? This substep then continues to identify high-value targets by warfighting function that can develop a whole of staff analysis for high payoff targets during MDMP and enable the targeting process. To note, an HVT should be prioritized through the target value analysis method to determine the relative value to a threat's operations. This effort is normally led by the fire cell of the staff, but cooperation, coordination, and support from the intelligence section by the intelligence targeting officer is critical based off of IPB threat templating of those HVTs. Successful execution of Step 2, current threat templating and understanding of threat doctrine in Step 3 requires dedicated effort by the intelligence warfighting functions supported by the entire staff based on their experience and knowledge of the OE and the threat. Evaluation of the threat assists in templating both the current and future actions of threat forces that enables friendly planning consideration during MDMP. The template should be tailored to the need of the unit and the staff, focus on the mission of your unit with the ability of your unit to affect or the abilities of the threat that you will face in order to identify and exploit those threat vulnerabilities. Visit the Army Publishing Directorate website for a complete listing of active Army publications. See Chapter 5 of ATP 2-01.3, Intelligence Preparation of the Battlefield, for more in-depth review of Step 3 in the IPB process.